Good afternoon, and welcome to the Professional Development Series sponsored by the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education in the Virginia Department of Education. Today's session will focus on the beginning of the school year, financial allocation, expenditure, and reporting of federal, state, and local funds pertaining to CTE programs. I am Bill Hatch, the CTE Planning, Administration, and Accountability Coordinator, and I am looking forward to talking with you today. Joining me later in the presentation is Rachel Blanton, our CTE Senior Grants and Budget Manager, and I look forward to her expertise. This presentation will look at all aspects of funding for the 2020-2021 school year, with particular emphasis on federal, state, and local funding. First, we will do a recap of 2019-2020 Perkins Grant Award, and then an extensive look at Perkins 5 2020-2021 federal grant. And then Rachel will concentrate on the various state funding allocations associated with career and technical education programs, including state equipment grants, the industry certification, workplace readiness skills, and STEM-H exam grants, occupational preparation and CTE adult education program entitlements, and then finally, maintenance of effort. We'll begin with the 2019-2020 Perkins allocation, which was announced in Superintendent's Memo 7719. Remember, reimbursement requests for 2019-2020 Perkins funds must have been submitted in Omega by September 30th, 2020. Reimbursement requests must be based on expenditures between July 1st, 2019 and June 30th, 2020. If reimbursements have not been submitted, school divisions may forfeit any remaining balance after September 30th, 2020, and may not be eligible for reallocation. On May 22nd, 2020, SUPS Memo 12320 was released for the estimated state allocations under Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, Perkins 5, for July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. The Virginia Title I Federal Perkins Allocation Grant Award is $28,777,008. This is a slight increase of 1.62% from last year. The federal funding formula of Perkins is based on 85% for local school divisions and community colleges, 10% for state leadership activities, and 5% for administration of the Perkins 5 Title I grant. Within the 85% that is allocated to the local school divisions and community colleges, 85% of that amount goes to local school divisions, and then 15% of that amount goes to the community colleges across the Commonwealth. The local school division allocations are based on individuals from 5 through 17 who reside in the school division. For enrollment, the percentage is the state is required to use the data from the National Center for Education Statistics Common Core using 2017-2018 data. And then for the poverty percentage, the state is required to use the data from the US Census Bureau using 2018-2019 data. And then 30% of the Perkins 5 school division allocation is based on enrollment in the school division, and 70% is based on families in poverty index from the same geographic area. On July 1st, the U.S. Department of Education released 38.83% of the total allocation to the Virginia Department of Education. And then the remaining 61.17% was released on October 1st, 2020. The requirements for reimbursement of Perkins program expenditures are that you must have an approved local plan and budget. You must have actual school year 2020-2021 expenditures, and they must be encumbered by June 30th, 2021, and you must appropriately use your Perkins allocation to improve CTE-based programs according to the required and permissive local use of funds. We've had several questions from school divisions, CTE, and finance directors about this, so I'll recap. 2022 school year. So it is critical that you encumber or expend all your funds by June 30th, 2021. Reimbursements must be submitted by September 30th, 2021. Any unspent funds may result in the forfeit of the remaining portion of your allocation. The VDOE will place any unspent Perkins 2020-2021 funds in a reserve account and then reallocate to divisions who have spent all their Perkins funds. Now let's talk about the online management of education grant award system, known as Omega. The Omega system is located in the Virginia Department of Education's website through the Single Sign-On for Web Systems, or SSWS. It is a secured portal access to the VDOE data processes, reports, and requests, including applications, budget transfers, and reimbursements. Each school division has an SSWS account manager that issues authorization access to the system. Your school division must complete an Omega Users Permit, or the OP1 form, in order to be granted access to Omega. When your Perkins allocation is initially loaded to the division account in Omega, it is loaded to the zero default object code. Before your division can request reimbursement, you must submit a budget transfer to move the funds to the appropriate object code based on your local Perkins plan. For your school division's initial 2020-2021 Omega budget transfer request after July 1st, you can transfer the 38.83% with equal distributions to your budgeted object codes, or you can target certain object codes based on your approved local plan. And or after October 1st, you must transfer the 100% according to your local plan and budget summary. Again, to submit 2020-2021 reimbursement requests, you must have an approved Perkins local application in Omega and an approved budget transfer. We recommend that school divisions submit reimbursements on a monthly basis according to the actual Perkins expenditures, at a minimum on a quarterly basis. And remember that encumbrance dates are required for object codes 3000, which are direct services, 4000, which are internal services, 5000, other charges, and then 8000 for equipment. Expenditures must comply with the Omega object code and definitions. And you can find that on a link below. And the information is also provided in the Welcome and Instructions tab of the Perkins 5 Excel application. Expenditures may be split between local, state, and federal funding sources, and you must use 100% of your total Perkins allocation. So please do not wait until the end of the school year to submit your division's first reimbursement request. Once you have access to Omega, there are several levels of approval for reimbursements and budget transfers. At the local level, there are levels 0 through 3. Level 0 is a required level. This is the level at which budget transfers and reimbursements are created and submitted for approval within the school division. Level 3 is also required. This is the superintendent's level and the actual submission to VDOE CTE unit. Then within the VDOE CTE unit, there are levels 5 through 6. And VDOE's fiscal service unit is level 7. This is the last approval level before reimbursements are prepared for payment, and payments are administered on a weekly basis. This wraps up the federal Perkins funds portion of this presentation. And now Rachel will continue with the state funds portion. Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks, Bill, and greetings to all. I hope this video finds you, your family, and your division family in good health. Because COVID-19 has challenged us to find new and innovative ways to educate our K through 12, we have some state funding that can help with that. We will now focus on the CTE state funding. We have 14 different lines of funding, as you can see in the PowerPoint, but we will only talk in detail about the 5 allocations that are given to each school division. First is state equipment. Superintendent's Memo 171-20 issued on July 10th, 2020. It provides $1.8 million in state lottery funds. These funds are distributed on a CTE student enrollment basis with a floor allocation of $2,000 for each school division. Second is special equipment. Superintendent's Memo 172-20 issued on July 10th, 2020. This is $2 million allocation from the state lottery funds for special equipment for high demand, high skill, fast growth sector. This is also based on student enrollment with a floor of $1,500 for each school division. With state equipment and special equipment, 100% of the equipment expenditures must be used not to exceed the approved allocation. State equipment funding must be used at 100% before any Perkins federal fund reimbursement can be used for equipment. State equipment must not be used to supplant or supplement any funds currently provided within the locality. Equipment purchases with state funds cannot be claimed on federal Perkins reimbursement requests in Omega. Equipment purchases may be split between local, state, and federal funding source. And all reimbursement forms must be submitted to VDOE by Friday, May 21st, 2021. Equipment purchases may be split between local, state, and federal funding sources. Reimbursement requests must be submitted to VDOE by Friday, May 21st, 2021. Reimbursement forms must have the superintendent's or its designee original signature in blue ink. Completed and signed forms can be scanned and mailed to the CTE box at doe.cte.virginia.gov or fax to the number on the reimbursement form, 804-530-4560, or mailed to VDOE Office of Career Technical and Adult Education, Attention CTE Senior Budget and Grants Manager, Post Office Box 2120, Richmond, Virginia 23219. Only one method is required, but you must include all appropriate documentation. The second part of Superintendent's Memo is the Competitive Innovative Grant, which is $600,000. The Competitive Innovative Program Equipment Grant is also for high demand, fast growth industry sector and will be announced under a separate superintendent's memo in the fall of school year 2021. Third is industry certification, Superintendent's Memo 170-20, dated July 10th, 2020. This is for industry certification exams, license, and occupational competency assessments. This is funded at the same level as fiscal year 2019, $1,831,464. It is also based on CTE student enrollment, and each student was $2.71 per student. Funding for the credentialing and industry certification exam, including workplace readiness, state licensure exams, occupational competency assessments, school and center licensing. All of these must be listed on the Board of Education's approved list of credentialing. Funding reimbursement for the industry certification exam is available for the period of May 28th, 2020 through May 21st, 2021. Remember, 100% reimbursement of exam costs not to exceed your allocation amount. The reimbursement forms must be submitted on the CTE State Industry Certification Reimbursement Form. The initial CTE Industry Reimbursement Form request must be 100% or less of the allocated amount. Subsequent CTE State Industry Certification Reimbursement request and any that exceed the initial allocation amount must be submitted on a separate reimbursement form. Fourth is workplace readiness skills, Superintendent Memo 183-20, issued on July 17th, 2020. This has a state funding of $308,655, which is the same state funding for the last fiscal year. This is also student-based enrollment, and each student is at about 46 cents each. Funding provides flexibility. Funding allocations must be used for the actual workplace readiness assessment or industry certification preparation and testing. Funding allocations based on the school year, on the schools, based on school, on the funding allocation is based on school year 2019-2020 enrollment data for students in secondary CTE courses. Funding reimbursement for workplace readiness reimbursements is available for the following period of May 28th, 2020 through May 21st, 2021. All reimbursement forms must be in by May 21st, 2021. Please note 100% reimbursement of exams, but not to exceed the allocated amount. The workplace readiness exam has a reimbursement form that must be completed. The initial CTE workplace readiness exam reimbursement form must be 100% or less of the allocation. Subsequent CTE workplace readiness skills exam reimbursement forms and anything that exceeds the initial allocation must be submitted on a separate reimbursement form. Next, we'll talk about industry credentials for STEMH. Superintendent's Memo 169-20, issued July 10th, 2020. The state funding for this is $500,000. This also is based on CTE student enrollment. The per student amount is 74 cents. Remember, funds must be used on board-approved industry credentials. For the STEM-H industry certification, reimbursement requests must be submitted by Friday, May 21st, 2020. Request forms must be signed by the division's superintendent or designee, and the original signature must be in blue ink. The submission of the forms can come via scan, email, fax, or you can mail them in. But only one method of reimbursement is required. Please ensure that all expenditures are for only industry certification exams, state licensure exams, and occupational competency assessments that have been board approved. Use the specific name of the exam, credential, and or license as listed on the Board of Education approved list on all reimbursement forms. So you would need to submit your workplace readiness, as well as your industry certification exam and your STEM-H certification on the specific forms for each of these exams. And for additional CTE industry cert, workplace readiness, or STEM-H industry certification exams that exceed the allocated amount, you would need to submit them on a separate reimbursement form. Any additional CTE, workplace readiness, and or STEM-H industry certification exam reimbursements that exceed the allocation will be held for payment processing until after the May 21st, 2021 deadline. On July 1st, 2021, and industry certification funds will be reallocated to school divisions and regional technical centers that have submitted additional reimbursement requests for CTE industry certification, workplace readiness, and STEM-H industry certification exams. State general fund payments for workplace readiness for Commonwealth assessment and or other industry certifications will be paid fully on the state semi-monthly payment schedule. State lottery fund payments for state equipment and industry certification reimbursement exam will be posted after January 2nd, 2021, I'm sorry. School divisions must first use all of their state allocation for workplace readiness exams, industry certification exams before submitting any industry certification exams for reimbursement with federal Perkins funds. The following comments statement will be required, and you can read that for yourself. Okay, superintendent memos forthcoming. The 2020 Virginia Act Assembly for school year 2021 appropriated $1.3 million to support students and teachers pursuing information technology industry certification. The existing contract with Certiport and Microsoft for this certification will expire on the November 30th, 2020, and we are now negotiating for the new contract, which will be finalized prior to November 30th, 2020. Funding provided shall be used to support the following priority objectives: increasing the percentage of students enrolled in CTE IT courses, increasing the number of students achieving industry recognized IT certifications, increasing the number of high schools and regional CTE programs implementing IT curriculums, and increasing number of instructors receiving IT training for targeted CTE programs, and increasing the number of teachers earning industry recognized IT certifications. Also, these funds also can be used to increase the number of instructors receiving training for targeted CTE programs, and increasing the number of teachers earning recognized IT certifications. Now we're going to talk about state program entitlements. This is Superintendent's Memo 160-20, issued July 2nd, 2020. This was for occupational prep and adult education entitlement. For occupational prep, we had $5,808,674. In the CTE adult education, we had $1,008,015,440. This state funding is provided for operation, improvement, and expansion of CTE for occupational prep and adult education programs to support principals and assistant principals of CTE centers where they spend at least 50% of their time administering the CTE programs or supervising them, and for extended contracts of instructors for activities related to coordinating development or improvement of CTE programs. And adult occupation CTE retraining. State CTE funding is provided for operation, improvement, and expansion of CTE for occupational preparation and adult education program to support principals and assistant principals of CTE local technical centers where at least 50% of their time is spent in CTE program administration or supervisory. And this does not include comprehensive high schools. This is a very important point. It does not include comprehensive high schools. This is to support extended contracts of instructors for activities related to coordinating development or improvement of CTE programs, adult occupational CTE programs to provide opportunities for adults to prepare for initial employment, retraining, or career advancement. This entitlement is based on actual expenditures reported by the school division and the regional centers for the prior school year on a CTFR report, on a CTE financial report. School year 2018-2019 occupational prep expenditure reimbursement percentage was 47.77%, as well as the CTE adult expenditure reimbursement percentage was 47.77%. Okay. The CTFR data submission via the VDOE single sign-on for web system, which is known as SSW, reports application for the CTFR actual expenditures by the division and regional centers for school year 2019-2020. Occupational preparation expenditures, state and local funds, and for CTE state and local funds. Please note that the superintendent's memo is expected to come out December 2020. The allocation and expenditures of the local school division for career and technical education program is reported on the CTEMS Schedule 16, line 10. And also, so this is reported on the expenditures for, in the CTFR on the expenditures, the report of expenditures for the previous year. Okay, so we want to thank you for your time. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Bill.
Thank you, Rachel, for that helpful information. And that completes the training portion of beginning of school year financial guidance and reports. The next video streaming training session is number 7, which is on new course applications and will air on Thursday, November 5th, 2020. We have prior archive sessions that are available on the VDOE CTE webpage on the Professional Development tab. We hope that this presentation has been beneficial and that local administrators will use it as a reference throughout the year. We ask that you take a few minutes to complete the evaluation of this session. We utilize that information for continuous improvement for our technical development. Please note the contact information for George Wilcox, who is the Director of Operations and Accountability, for David Eshelman, the Director of Workforce Development and Initiatives, and then for Rachel and my contact information. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions or concerns. And we certainly appreciate Rachel's participation today. And we'd also like to thank Sharon Acuff, who provides our technical coordination for our training sessions. And in closing, we wish everyone a successful 2020-2021 school year, and thank you for joining us.